Welcome back to Pub Talk, the unofficial official craft beer podcast of Oklahoma, where we're all about the three B's, beer buddies and bullshit. I'm Michael, and with me as always is a man who thinks it's great to drink beer from all over the state, Jeremy.
Hey.
On today's special episode, we've hit the road again to get twisted and talk with the great folks at Twisted Spike Brewing Company in Oklahoma City about all of the great things they have going on here and everything craft beer. If you like what you hear today, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and drop some love on pretty much all of the social media platforms at Pub Talk Podcast. All right, let's get into it. So first up, we normally want to start with some introductions, who you guys are, and then a little bit about your brewery, how you came up with the name.
Sure. Bruce and Donna Sanchez. We came up with the name for Twisted Spike from an exhaustive search after the original name that I had come up with that I wanted to keep as Oklahoma as possible. We were thinking of Rose Rock.
Okay.
Actually, that's not true. He had a homebrew name. If you want to be to go back to back, he had his homebrewing name, Red Plains Brewing, and I ditched that.
So that one was always out of the picture.
Yeah.
So the second name was Rose Rock, and then that was kind of girly, not really edgy, not really craft beery.
Okay.
So we spent months and months and months trying to come up with the name. Before we found the name, we actually decided on this location.
Okay.
So that helped us develop what kind of our options could have been. I mean, we're on the railroad tracks. We're in Automobile Alley. This is a 1927 built building. So between railroads and cars, there's all kinds of possibilities that we were thinking would spawn something. And we literally looked at hundreds of thousands of images on Google Images, thinking of railroad, train,
industrial,
something industrial. And I saw there was a kind of a theme with railroad spikes that a lot of blacksmiths make some really cool stuff out of it. Knife sets, tons and tons of different bottle openers, letter openers. And I came across this one image of a railroad spike that had been turned and was a bottle opener. And I just said to myself, oh, wow, that's pretty cool, Twisted Spike. Twisted Spike. That would be awesome.
Nice.
So I seconds later, I called Donna and I said, what do you think about Twisted Spike? We were like, oh yeah. So in less than 15 minutes, I was on GoDaddy getting any domain related to Twisted Spike Brewing, Twisted Spike Brewery, Twisted Spike, and about $45 and 3 domains later, we were Twisted Spike Brewing Company. And I took that image of the Twisted Spike and I put that on our business plan cover page. And it actually was a product made by a blacksmith in Michigan. And I saw it was an Etsy photo, and I contacted the guy, and he's a blacksmith that makes those bottle openers. And I purchased several of those to hand out during fundraising campaigns. I'm like, hey, we're Twisted Spike with this badass bottle opener. And that sold, it got people connected. It's a great marketing tool to do that. And TwistedSpike.com was actually going to expire. Somebody had it. And I had to wait 7 weeks for it to expire. I put my name on the GoDaddy wait list, and we were able to get TwistedSpike.com.
Nice.
So
he is still the blacksmith that makes all of our Twisted Spike bottle openers and our tapping bowls today.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
What was TwistedSpike.com before? I'm curious.
I have no idea.
No, not sure.
It was
Okay.
already expired. We couldn't.
Okay, I didn't know.
Nobody was using it or.
Okay, there's some options there.
Mm-hmm.
So, just kind of going, I guess, with the history theme, the taproom look is very unique with the old shipping containers, and you guys are right on the railroad tracks and everything. Can you kind of talk to us about how that came to be? And I know we just had architects here, so it just fits in.
Yes, exactly. When we contacted HSE Architects, Todd Edmonds and his team came in, and it was actually their idea to bring in the shipping containers as a bar. No one in downtown Oklahoma City had ever put a big shipping container inside a building before, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Getting in the building was interesting. There's
Two forklifts.
Okay.
Yeah. So we shopped around, as well as we also repurposed or reused shipping containers for all of our cold storage, which is actually a plan B. Plan A was a 20 by 30 cold room, and I did not know that once you went wider than 15 feet, you have to self-support all those foam panels, and it tripled the cost of a cold room, and that was kind of exceeded my budget for that particular item. So plan B was, all right, let's find out something else that we can use. Oh, guess what? I saw a brewery in Minnesota that uses a shipping container for a cold room. We've already gotten one.
Yeah.
Let's get a couple and use those for all of our cold storage.
So I was like, well, then I want 2 different colors.
Yeah.
I did. I was like, let's get a different color for each side. And he's like, we'll cut them in half. And so they cut them in half and welded them together.
Oh, nice.
And so, and I said, I don't want them new. I want them older. And so they look more industrial. So the bar shipping container is actually a little bit newer than the cold room.
So we kind of coined all of this is a 1927 built building. And we kind of coined the phrase industrial art deco.
Nice.
So that's kind of what we tried to talk to the architects about, and they totally embraced that concept. And so we have a lot of rougher looking things. Nothing smooth in this building. We've got all this nice brick. We've got all the wood roof structure, all the beams that go everywhere. So there's a lot of good bones to work with in developing the architecture.
No, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Big.
Is this the largest tap room in Oklahoma City? Or I mean, in Oklahoma, for that matter.
In Oklahoma City, yes.
Okay.
Welltown in Tulsa that just opened.
Yep.
They have a 3-story facility.
Yeah, we just had them on.
Which exceeds their tap room square footage exceeds our square footage. So we are now the 2nd largest tap room in Oklahoma.
Okay. Well.
But it was funny. I ran into the owners this past weekend at the craft beer summit.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, about that sign. I'm like, yeah, it's an old sign. we have some signage when we go out to do events. Biggest tap room in Oklahoma.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I'll take care of that.
Just add city. You got this.
Just take a Sharpie and just write city.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of the Craft Beer Summit, I believe recently you moderated one of the panels there.
I moderated the hot panel.
How did that go?
It was fun. When you get a room with a bunch of pro brewers and a bunch of home brewers and a bunch of people that just love hops, and give a opportunity for the crowd to connect with the brewers and their own particular style, because every brewer in Oklahoma and pretty much every brewer around has their own kind of style. I mean, how we express ourselves in our beer takes place through our use of hops. So everybody in the audience got to connect with the guys from Lincoln, with the guys from Oklahoma City, with the guys from Austin. We had a really great panel, and we shared. I'm sure it blew the minds of every home brewer in the room that boils these hops for 60 minutes, and these hops for 20 minutes, and these hops for and guys like Tony Kelly. I don't boil hops. It's all in the whirlpool. I'm sure the people's just minds exploded listening to the different points of view of the different brewers, how they employ their stuff, and it was awesome.
So we talked about the name of the brewery. You have some really unique and interesting beer names as well. Monk's Crossing, Holy Beer, immediately spring to mind. Is there a thought process behind kind of the theme there?
Only the hardest thing in the beer business naming a beer?
Yeah.
I've done a lot of the naming of the beers.
Okay.
Obviously, Bruce is the awesome brewmaster when it comes to coming up with our beers and all of his recipes, which he's had for years and years.
Yeah.
The particular one that you named first, Monk's Crossing, that one came from an item that we found in the brewery when we were doing the demo of the building.
Okay.
We actually found a little 5x7 Halloween Monk's Cross in this little packaging within a wall. And I was like,
Interesting.
oh hell, that's going in a name.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we named that Monk's Crossing, kind of threw that into like the railroad crossing and made that into an Abbey Road kind of
Okay.
little record album cover theme.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen the Monk's Crossing label, it's for Monk's Crossing the road in kind of a Beatles Abbey Road theme. So,
I had seen that and not put that together, so
So
thank you for connecting the dots.
so next time you look at that, think Beatles Abbey Road.
Yeah.
So, and then
Well, the
another
holy beer.
holy beer is, before opening our brewery, I was in medical sales, in spine sales, and one of the distributors I used to work with went to Belgium with one of our surgeons, and Bruce told him, oh, you need to go to West Wettering and drink the best beer in the world. Take the surgeon there. And however, you need to get on the wait list, make reservations months ahead of time, and he didn't believe him. And so when he got there, he was told he couldn't come in because he wasn't on the wait list, and he asked if he could just at least buy some of the beer. And he's like, he was told, you have to go over across the street, and you can possibly buy some from the gift shop. And I'll let Bruce tell some of the story.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you experienced West Wettering 12, Westy 12, it's, on every, beer wish list around, supposedly some of the best, the best beer in the world. And it's available through that monastery in Belgium. And you have to call on Thursday, which is the English-speaking phone answering day,
Okay.
and make your reservation for your case or cases that you would like to purchase. And they give you a number and a date that you come pick your reserved beer up. Quite formal process.
Yeah.
And if you are not on the list, the sliding door opens and the sliding door closes. No beer for you! So you have to go to their gift shop across the street where you can buy a 6-pack per day. Wow. So it's, the exclusivity of it, it adds to some of the mystique, but it's a ridiculously delicious beer. They released it once in the entire history, which was probably about 2 years ago when they were funding a monastery expansion. They needed to raise some money, and they've never commercially offered their beer before, and they did it that one time, and you can get a 4-pack and a West Wettering glass. I think it was for like $50,
Wow.
and they sold out in days across the country. So when our friend had got his 6-pack and his friend got his 6-pack, he gave me a call, or gave Donna a call at the office.
And they said, the holy beer is on its way. And we FedEx, which you're not supposed to FedEx alcohol, and he just put medical supplies on the label.
I know.
So when Bruce brewed his Belgian Quad,
I've been brewing Belgian Quad for a long time.
Yeah.
And when Donna told me that he had said it, I was like, holy beer, that's a perfect name for this beer. So since then, as a homebrew, that I've got, I've been brewing that beer for 10 years since then. So it's always been the holy beer. So that's the one name of all my homebrew names that has stuck, that made it through the marketing department and got released. And part of the label is actually part of my home. I mean, I have novice Photoshop skills, so I would make all my own beer labels for all my homebrew labels. So there's an ode to my homebrew label. It's also kind of a stained glass Abbey theme with the holy beer label. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Because like the Monk's Crossing, the original name of the Monk's Crossing in my garage was the Papal Indulgence Double.
Okay.
So I really didn't want to piss off the archdiocese. So we wanted to, Monk's Crossing was a perfect substitute for that name.
So in my mind, not knowing the story between Holy Beer, it was Holy Shit Beer. You just left that word out for marketing.
There was a lot of comments on Untapped like, holy beer!
Yeah.
Awesome beer. So speaking of brewing for a long time, how long have you been brewing?
I brewed my first homebrew batch in 1991.
Nice.
A friend of mine introduced me to it, and I'm an electrical engineer by education, and I was like, if you can do this on your stove, by gosh, 26 years ago in Oklahoma, there was stale Beck's Dark on the shelf, and that was about it. Maybe a Foster's oil can,
Yeah.
and they were like $8 a piece. So when my friend introduced me to this, and my very first home brewed batch of beer was a Belgian blonde. I've been traveling all over the country for 25, 30 years as an FAA engineer, and I've watched all this happen all over the country and have had access to all these great beers that I couldn't get back home. And back in the day, you could put them in your overhead and bring it home. You can't do that now with all the airport security. But I was really able to get a lot of really good access to a lot of good beers and sample them and then bring them home and make them myself.
Do you have a favorite part of the brewing process? Or maybe a part that you don't look forward to?
Cleaning sucks, but that's like 90% of it, so you just can't get away from that. And being meticulous about cleaning is really one of the pillars of any good brewing. Developing recipes is fun. You're always looking for some kind of inspiration somewhere. It's great to go out and see what other folks are doing and get inspiration from that. Inspiration comes from suggestions from Donna on, hey, can you do this? I'm like, ooh, shit. Yeah, I'll come up with something.
Well, like a couple months ago, I said, can you make me a pink beer? He's like, a what? Okay, I want a pink beer. He's like,
so my mind went to, the only way you can get those kind of colors is from flowers or fruit.
Sure.
Cherries are a little bit overdone, not too unique. Flowers, I had never brewed with any flowers. I've never brewed with a flower. I've always wanted to. So she showed me a picture of this of a really super pink, pretty beer that was I think it was with it wasn't a hibiscus. It was either a hyacinth or a marigold.
I actually showed him a picture of a bright pink hibiscus. I said, I want it this pink.
So I came up with a pretty pink beer. The floralness, I was really intrigued by just how I did tests. So I had 4 different 8-ounce glasses of jars of hot water, and I put a teaspoon of hibiscus in one, a teaspoon and a half in another, 2 teaspoons in one, 3 teaspoons in one, and let them set overnight just to see what the color variation was going to be. And okay, honey, which one do you like better? Oh, I like that one. All right. So it just kind of grows from there. And then the other thing was, it's got to be clear. Because I'm kind of more of an old school brewer, kind of a style Nazi. I like pretty, clean, bright beer. Okay. And before a year and a half ago, I had never even thought about brewing an East Coast IPA. I mean, I'm West Coast. I'm a West Coast guy. So, she wanted it clear, and a lot of the sours. I was like, well, if you're going to do something with flowers, you want to do it. A lot of the Oklahoma palate is really discovering a lot of tart, sour, fruity beers. So I knew it needed to be flowery, and it blended itself through a tartness, which took it to more of a sour. The sour beers that we currently produce were mostly wheat-based and fairly cloudy because of all the proteins in the wheat. So if she wants it clear, I got to back off on the wheat a little bit. So going through recipe formulation, knowing that was going to be most probably a lactobacillus-based tart, so I can turn it quickly to get it out quickly. Reduce the amount of wheat, and I wanted to add a citrus component to it, so I added a little bit of tangerine to it. So it's kind of and all those tart lactobacillus sours are really very lightly hopped, so I really didn't have to worry about a hop profile. So all these things are always rolling over in your head. You've got your yeast, you've got your water, you've got your hops, you've got your malt, and then your adjuncts. So you're constantly bouncing one off the other. Is this going to work? Is that going to work? Is this going to be better? Is it going to be more of this, less that, redder, not as cloudy? So those kind of things in my head just keep swimming around until I like, all right, we're going to try this, and you brew it and see what you get. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to do some kind of adjustment. I put just as much tangerine in the hibiscus tangerine petite sour that I do in the blood orange IPA. If you had the blood orange IPA, there's a ridiculous amount of blood orange in there. In the hibiscus tangerine, there's so much hibiscus because I had to achieve the color that you can hardly tell that there's a citrus component in there. So if I could probably remove half the citrus and nobody would notice, but it would bring out even more of the floral characteristics of the hibiscus, because I tasted it before I put the tangerine in it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so floral, even before I had any carbonation in it. So that's the most fun. Okay. When you realize somebody else's vision.
Yeah.
And it tastes really good, which is a bonus,
right.
Because if it doesn't pass her QA/QC for servability, it doesn't go on tap.
Yeah.
Awesome. Then I got to name it.
Well, sure.
Right. So you've got this hibiscus tangerine petite sour.
Nice.
So, okay, honey, go. If you can taste it, then you can get some inspiration from. All right, what is this beer saying to you? What can people make a connection? It's all about the connection. You come in the tap room, you like the environment, you like the bartenders, you make a connection with the facility, you make a connection with the beer, you can make a connection with us because we're always here, and you learn about all the fun stuff that goes on when you create this little cocoon of fun beer stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's. So we're from Tulsa, obviously. One of the main ways we've been exposed to you guys is through beer festivals and things like that. I guess I'm always curious to hear what your favorite part of those festivals are, if you have a favorite festival, that kind of thing.
And I think one of my favorite parts of beer festivals is obviously seeing all the people and seeing. Just for the past couple of years, seeing it grow and seeing so many more, seeing so many more tents, seeing so many more booths at the festivals, lots more Oklahoma local breweries there. But I think, to me, the people coming up to your tent, asking questions, and then watching them taste your beer, having them ask you questions and finding more about you. But I love watching their facial expressions when they taste your beer and having them.
Yeah. The bug eye expression, like, oh my God, that's good.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had anyone going, oh gosh, I hate that.
Yeah.
But no, and I think one of my favorite festivals is obviously the Oklahoma Craft Beer Festival, but coming up next, this Saturday, the Wild Brew, and last year was our first experience with that, and it was really nice. I love how they have all the food component on the inside of it, which is different from any other beer festival here in Oklahoma.
And it's indoors.
And it's indoors. Even though the Oklahoma Craft Beer Festival is indoor, the whole interior food allows everybody to get some food in their system while they're walking around.
Yep.
So, the Zoo Brew is always fun too. That's a really fun one in the fall.
Yeah, we try to get Tulsa, since we are an Oklahoma City based brewery and really less than 2 years old, the way we get to that Tulsa market is more often those festivals.
Yeah.
So we do Hop Jam, we do Harvest, put on by McNally's.
Yeah.
McNally's has been a great proponent of ours. I've got great relationships with both McNally South and downtown. Downtown puts the harvest on. The whole McNally's group, even Oklahoma City and Norman and Vassar Hall, they've been super, super supportive of us. So it is, if somebody's going to be that helpful to me, by gosh, I'm going to do everything I possibly can to help them in return. Wild Brew is awesome. First Draft is always good. So those are the main 4 or 5 festivals in Tulsa that we have been to every year that we could have.
Yeah.
We had great representation in not only there, but like at places like Roosevelt and some smaller venues. When I met the brewers from Elgin Park, they're a brew pub with their own beer, and they have our beer on tap.
Yeah.
I mean, that you don't get any more neighborly Oklahoma than somebody else that is brewing their beer that also puts your beer on tap too. So it's great.
Well, and even last year when we were at Wild Brew for the first time, there's so many people that have yet to have heard of us. Even in our own tap room, doing the demographic survey on our POS system, to this day, it's still 70% new, 30%, 65, 35 return customers. So we're still, not quite 2 years old. We're still, the brewing industry is still forming that 4% craft beer demographic in the whole state. So going up to Tulsa, it's not our backyard, it's not our hometown, so it's nice to get up there every once in a while.
I saw a cool story online where recently there was a lady that owned a winery in Rwanda that came to Twisted Spike to get an opportunity to mentor. Is there anything you can share with that experience for our listeners?
That was so unique. I was approached by another businesswoman to see if I would mentor this woman from Rwanda who brews wine with bananas. And she was interested in learning how to brew beer. And she was speaking with another business person here in Oklahoma City, and they asked them, do you happen to know any women brewery owners? And they said, well, in fact, I do. And so I was able to connect with them, and she came here to the brewery for about half a day and visited with us and our assistant brewer, Hugh, and little did I know, I was helping brew this luau. I thought we were brewing, I don't even know what the hell we were doing.
I tried to keep it secret.
So she was able to watch and assist. She watched us. He was grinding the grain, and then she helped us smash in. Evidently, she does everything over a fire, like literally a fire.
Oh, wow.
She and her husband have 12 children. They have a banana plantation, and she was such a generous and such a kind lady. I learned so much from her. She was so sweet, and we are keeping in touch via email for 1 year. We've committed to do that. And so she brought coffee for me. She brought some banana juice for me. She's, I think, 50, starting this business. But when Oklahoma City has teamed up with Rwanda, I'm going to probably botch the other countries that they've teamed up with because I'm on the spot here. It's such a great program. Interesting.
That's awesome.
So cross-cultural entrepreneurship.
Yeah. I think there was 216 women involved in the program. AT&T is a huge sponsor of it.
Okay.
They arrive in Dallas and they travel up here to Oklahoma City. I think they spend 2 weeks through the program. They're teaching them all sorts of things about business. So
Really cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I think we may have kind of touched on this earlier, but we always like to ask everybody we talk to if you remember what the first craft beer you had was that kind of started you down this entire rabbit hole that's, now many years in.
Well, there's 2 questions there.
Okay.
There's that question, and then you have your epiphany beer.
Sure, that's a solid point. Yeah.
Because I've always in Oklahoma, I've always been legal. As soon as I was 18, back when the laws, before they changed it to 21,
Oh, okay.
I was able to, at 18, I was able to get a strong beer. Way older than you guys. So I was, when I graduated from high school, I was the 19-year-old walking around with a Beck's Dark.
Okay.
I mean, I've always loved beer. And I've got pictures of me at my first university down at Texas A&M. I had a big, Foster's oil can in my hand, watching TV or doing whatever, because I've always loved beer. My epiphany beer, though, was an Orval, which is made at another monastery in Belgium that only brews that beer. It's a Brettanomyces-based beer. I had never had anything like that before. So back, 10, 15 years ago, it was still like $7 or $8 for the tiny, 11-ounce champagne little tiny bottle. And I think I had it at a beer garden in Indianapolis on one of my FAA trips. I was just looking for something different, and I took a suggestion from one of our bartenders, and so that was my epiphany beer was an Orval. And then I did the research on the monastery and how why the label is like it is. So the label has a fish holding a gold ring. So the backstory on the label is a Belgian princess, was bathing in the lake, and she was newly engaged to her beloved, and she lost her ring while she was bathing. And this fish brought it up out of the water and presented it back to her. So on this label, you've got a fish with a gold ring on it. So that's the whole backstory on that beer. Pretty cool.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, I didn't drink in college. I didn't drink beer.
I didn't like beer until about 20 years ago.
I didn't like beer at all, and now I'm, married to the brewmaster. But I think one of my favorite beers that I really liked at first was Almagang, if I recall. Bruce is my walking beer Wikipedia.
Nice.
So if we happen to go someplace that has, 100 taps, like Republic or McNally's, or if we're out of state that has a lot of taps, I just look at him and I point to the menu and I'm like, would I like that? Or did I like that? And he's like, yeah, you like that. So
it's kind of like what you're in the mood for. So I like the way a lot of restaurants are changing from a lot of stylistic things. So you get really overwhelmed by all these places that have 100+ beers. So they got malty, hoppy, sour, and gives you whatever you're feeling that day, whatever you're gonna pair it with food. I love pairing beer with food. So whatever you're feeling, then we can just say, let's go this way. Are you in the mood for farmhouse ale? You want something lighter? So whatever she's in the mood for, we can zero in on it on the menu.
He just remembers more what I like sometimes if I don't, and so it's nice that he keeps that zeroed in for me.
Gotta keep Mama happy on the beer side.
I'm the beer dictionary for my fiance. I get it.
Wikipedia.
Either way. Sometimes thesaurus too.
Yeah.
Did you have an epiphany beer as well?
I think what Almagang was that? It was
Was it the Hennepin?
Yeah, Hennepin. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I really do like that. In fact, I have the special Almagang glass at our house. See, when Bruce would travel with the FAA, he would bring home a beer glass from everywhere.
That makes sense.
Everywhere. So we remodeled our house right when we were remodeling this brewery, and people thought we were completely nuts, that we were going through 2 construction zones at the same time.
Sure, yeah.
But I thought if we don't do it then, it'll never get done.
Yeah.
And so above our coffee station, we have this giant cabinet full of not only Twisted Spike beer glasses, but every beer glass. And
The collection.
So I have a special Almagang beer glass that's just like.
Yeah.
So this week, a lot of people are celebrating the law that passed 2 years ago that allowed tap rooms to sell their.
Oh, please, do it one more time. Oh, man.
Yeah, you might as well start over on that one.
So that was a train.
424 week.
Yeah, so a lot of people are celebrating the law that passed 2 years ago that allowed tap rooms to sell full strength beer on their site. How crucial was that? I'm questioning the growth of your tap room, and then do you have any plans for the laws that are about to change coming up here in October?
Absolutely. The sole reason why craft beer in the country is successful is because of the tap room. Wherever you go, a successful brewery has its little incubator that is the tap room. People can come in and experience the freshest beer, the best beer, the one-off beer, all the unique things that make each brewery unique there in the tap room. The margins in the tap room obviously are better than the retail margin. So the brewery, craft beer in general, the manufacturers are the least compensated tier. The wholesale tier adds 30%. The retail tier adds 20 to 25%. Our margins at the brewery are between like 8 and 12, depending on the beer. So to have a tap room and the ability to sell the beer before it goes through these other tiers at basically the same retail price gives you the flexibility to sustain a enterprise. And that's why breweries didn't exist in Oklahoma before, because it was legislatively prohibited. You couldn't, the guys that started Marshall and Coop and Battered Boar and all those guys, did it out of the love of beer and wanting to serve a market, but the odds were completely stacked against them. And we had planned our brewery with the hope that one of these days that was going to change, and we really wanted to be on the cusp of that new wave of craft beer in Oklahoma, that we kind of dove in a little bit earlier with a little bit, with the same risk that the other guys did as well, hoping and keeping our fingers crossed that the legislative changes would happen that would someday make it, profitable. And 424, when 424 passed, it was actually surprised the heck out of me. And it actually could have been overturned on a constitutional basis.
Oh, really?
Because any law can be challenged on a constitutional level, whether it's federal or state. So that actually 424 flew in the face of the Oklahoma State Constitution, because the Constitution is where all of the Able Commission laws are, and all of those say you cannot provide samples at your brewery. So even the state Supreme Court, there were some filings against Senate Bill 424, but the writing was already on the wall, and the Oklahoma State Supreme Court didn't even listen to the arguments, because they knew that the other bills like Senate Bill 383 was in the works to actually remove or to replace the Able Commission. And then last fall, when everybody voted for State Question 792, we actually repealed prohibition in Oklahoma by taking taking the Able Commission out of the state constitution and article whatever it was, and making it a title, which gave all the power back to the legislative branch of the government to make all those changes as normal laws do. So that whole thing now comes to a head on October 1st, when 3.2 goes away. Beer and wine available in grocery stores. All the distribution changes in Oklahoma as well, as far as giving access to 12 Class B wholesalers goes away, and now you can even self-distribute, which is another huge thing for small craft breweries. That model has been proven all over the country, where when craft breweries are able to serve their customers outside their tap rooms, they actually have a very viable business as well. You don't have to go through the three-tier retail chain. You can actually load up your truck and take them to your customers, which is huge.
We talked earlier about your favorite part of brewing. What about favorite part of just the entire craft beer scene?
I think my favorite part is our return customers.
Okay.
We have a lot of just familiar faces that come in here. And one of the things that we say, and we love to say, is the only thing better than our beer is our customer service. I mean,
That's important.
Definitely.
People come in here and they feel like it's their house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's their place. They feel comfortable. They feel at home. And so the vibe here is casual, it's fun. And so when they walk in here, our bartenders know their name. I mean, and I'm not being cliche about friends, but our bartenders are craft beer counselors. That's the term we use.
Nice.
I mean, because when someone walks up and they ask our bartenders, well, what's your favorite beer? Our bartenders are not going to tell them their favorite beer. They're going to guide them out of our 20 plus beers on tap. They're going to guide them to find out what's going to be their favorite beer.
Yeah.
So our biggest thing is, like Bruce said, we're here half the time. So when we walk in, we're going to see some familiar face, and they're going to say, hey, Bruce, or hey, Donna. So, I mean, everyone feels super comfortable here. So that's my favorite thing, is walking in here and seeing so many familiar faces.
Nice.
I like seeing empty glasses.
Yeah.
So I mean, we probably we have everything in a 4-ounce pour. I mean, you can get pretty overwhelmed by the amount of variety. I mean, everything from a 4.8 Kolsch to a 10% Russian Imperial Stout.
Yeah.
So there's always something somewhere for anybody, and we do an overwhelmingly number of flights, because you've got that many. Nobody's going to commit to a full 12-ounce or 16-ounce pour when, hey, I can get 4 different beers for 4 ounces.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of flights, and when I watch and serve a flight and walk by and ask any questions that somebody might have on the beer, typically that glass is pretty darn empty. Nothing says I don't like that more than a 2-sipped 4-ounce glass.
Yeah.
So when you've got a flight of 4 or 8 or 12, or several people come in and they run the gauntlet on all, do the mega flight and share. And I love sharing beer, and I love sharing the beer that makes other folks happy. And because my beer, that's one of my things. My beer always, has made me happy. Right? If my beer can make somebody else happy, double win. And when the glasses are empty, then I subliminally can think to myself, they enjoyed that beer, and that makes me happy.
That's awesome.
Recently saw online there's going to be a collaboration beer between the different breweries in Automobile Alley. Is anything, any details you can give us on that?
Super fun.
You want to tell them how that came about?
Sure. Well, the downtown and all the other segments of the city all have their little pockets, and we're in Automobile Alley. So there is an Automobile Alley retailer association. So every other month, all the retailers downtown and Automobile Alley get together and talk about Automobile Alley stuff.
We have meetings.
That's cool.
Right. So what can how can we promote Automobile Alley? How can we promote all the reurbanization that's going on? How much fun stuff is going on? We were at the last one where there was a time for business announcements. So October 1st was coming up. Our first anniversary is coming up. Our second anniversary is coming up on November 3rd. So we wanted to, everybody's going around. You gotta have something. So we're thinking about October 1st. We're gonna have all these laws are gonna kick in, and we're gonna be able to extend our hours, and we're gonna be able to actually I can submit to the Able Commission for a mixed beverage license, so I can have guest ciders. I can have wine, and serve more a wider range of customers. And now that we have Vanessa House and Prairie downtown in Automobile Alley, I was like, what can we do together to do something fun for October 1st? Why don't we do a collab beer?
So he leans over and he says,
At the meeting.
during the meeting when somebody else is talking, when we should be paying attention, he kind of whispers, what do you think about a collab between Vanessa House and Prairie? I'm like, I'm good. So he texts Greg with Prairie during the meeting.
I texted to Vanessa, my friends at Vanessa House, and my buddies at Prairie. I was like, you guys want to do a collab beer for October 1st? And it took them less than 5 minutes both to answer, sounds awesome.
They're like, we're in.
All right, so before it got around to us for our quarterly announcements, we had another announcement.
Nice.
He's standing up announcing, the October 1st and our second anniversary. So just want to announce we're doing a collaboration beer with Prairie and Vanessa House. And within 10 minutes, he got this planned out.
Then all we had to do was come up with the beer we were going to do, but the groundwork was laid
He
for...
said to be announced because we didn't do that in 5 minutes.
But yeah, that's the culture of craft beer in Oklahoma. We are super supportive of each other. I love just about everything that everybody's doing.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool, and when you can reach out to those guys directly and talk to the brewmaster or the owner, or sometimes it's the same, and you have that kind of one-on-one relationship with all those guys, they're like, that sounds fun. Sure, let's do it. It's a no-brainer, and it's very, very fun.
So we'll have a Maple Pecan Old Ale that will be released that Monday, October 1st. We'll run it till, each of us will get X amount of kegs.
Get a barrel, right? 2 half barrels.
Yeah.
So
And
2 half
then-
barrels at Prairie, 2 half barrels here, 2 half barrels at Vanessa House.
And then we're going to do probably a multi-logo glassware. I don't know if we're each going to do a different glassware, or we haven't decided exactly what we're going to do, but glassware will be at each brewery when you purchase that beer. And there'll be multi-logo between the 3 breweries, and we'll have the Automobile Alley logo on there as well. So it'll be pretty cool.
Nice. We've talked about first craft beer. We talked about a lot of firsts and favorites. I would assume that brewing a beer is it's like your child, right? In a lot of ways. And people like to say they don't have a favorite child, but I feel like you've probably got a favorite beer. So I'm curious what your favorite beer that you brew is, whether it's a one-off or the core beers.
Maybe the first or
And I do have a lot of customers that ask me, what's your favorite beer? And I come back with, well, that's like picking one of my kids, like you just said. But and it's coming up upon this time of year, one of my favorite beers that Bruce brews is our vanilla coffee porter.
I've had that, and it's amazing.
Have you had that one?
Yes.
And I named that one To Bean or Not To Bean, just to throw a little Shakespeare in the beer. And that will be back in September.
Nice.
It's my favorite beer to drink watching an OU football game because I'm a huge OU fan. So I'm excited to have that back. And that we have not released that to distribution. It's been a taproom only, but that one's going out this year. So
Very nice.
that is probably top of mine.
Okay.
And for me, I have kind of 2 favorites. My favorite style in general is Belgian Double.
Okay.
I just love everything about Belgian Double. Armand's Crossing previously was my papal indulgence at the house. I brandy barrel aged it. I have brewed it. That was one of the beers I brewed every year. Home brewing. I would probably do 6 or 8 beers every year, and then 6 others rotationally. So every year I did double. I've probably spent 10 years adjusting that recipe. I spent a week at White Labs going through each one of their different Belgian Belgian yeast strains to pick out the characteristics that I liked about that beer. I experimented a lot with different colors of candy sugar, dark, amber, clear, the different combinations of those. Each one of those different candy sugars imparts a different flavor, as well as a grain bill. Special B is a big part of that style. So it took me a good 10 years of experimentation to bring that flavor profile that I wanted because I could. So that Belgian Bill is I love that Belgian. That's my chicken beer. I beer can chicken with that beer. I make beer bread with that beer. I do everything with that beer. I love that beer.
Awesome.
What's your second one?
And the second one was the Kolsch.
Okay.
Mostly because it's very technical. You cannot hide anything in a super light beer.
Yeah.
Any flaw comes through with something that light. So I think that it shows a particular OCD-ness in sanitation and time. It's a 10 to 12 week beer instead of a 3-week beer. It's a those Kolsch's are normally cold fermented and lagered. So I pay particular attention to. It's a 4-week ferment. It's a 3-day diacetyl rest to remove any sulfuriness out of the fermentation, as well as a 4-week lager. So those kind of things take time, and it's the most crushable beer. So you think that while this is simple, it tastes great. I could throw back a half a dozen of these.
Yeah.
But the back end of that is all the work that goes into making it that crushable. I enjoy the heck out of that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Awesome. We've talked about a couple different events. Do you have any events that are going on here at the tap room upcoming? Do you want to share with our listeners? Anything going on?
What we just did, Automobile Alley, we do a lot. We do is it quarterly or monthly beer yoga. And we've done that for several months, and Automobile Alley actually sponsored the last one.
Awesome.
So that opened it up for twice as many people to come and experience not only yoga, but the tap room. We've got Wild Brew coming up this coming weekend. Our second anniversary is going to be November 3rd. We will have pint nights are a real good marketing tool. We will actually have our first pint night at the tap room. I've taken glassware all over the state for the last 2 years, and now I'm actually giving some away in our tap room.
Yeah, I was like, Chris, why have we never had a pint night here? So, and last year we didn't do an Oktoberfest. We were so new, we were scrambling, trying to get our brand out, that it got away from us, because an Oktoberfest is a lager too, and it takes up our fermenter space for 2 months, and we're trying to get other beers out, and it just got away from us. And so this year we did an Oktoberfest and Spiketoberfest. Well, I named it Spiketoberfest because you say the word, you say our brand, and it's 2 in 1.
Yeah.
So Spiketoberfest will be released the end of this month, and our pint night for that will be September 4th, the day after Labor Day. And so we've done a branded glassware, commemorative glassware with that. Will be out, and so I'm excited about that.
So we talked about the to being or not to being earlier, and that was kind of a special beer that's now going to be distributed. I think I saw something online about there's a handful of your other more limited beers that are going to hit distribution. Did I see that correctly, or is that?
The Blood Orange is out and is doing really,
Okay.
really well. La Gitana has been kicking it this summer.
Okay.
As far as like this fall and something.
Yeah, I think I saw some in the last couple of weeks. It's not the two bean is what caught my eye because I had that one a few months ago here in the tap room. But
Yeah, that one is. I'm not sure exactly when that will be out.
Should be October 1st.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, we're trying to settle into now. We get limited data back from our distribution.
okay.
We get a lot of data from in-house, which I think will parallel a lot of stuff that we put out. We can track what's going out as far as our off-premise or on-premise stuff at the bars and restaurants, and kind of honing our quarterly production and trying to see which beers do better at what times of the year, and moving some of those brands to quarterly releases, spring, summer, fall, winter. Some things will be on all the time, every time, but some of the ones that are the slower movers that do better at particular times of the year, the milk stout does better in the fall. Sure. Obviously, the two bean is a great fall beer. The La Gitana and the Cru are great summer beers. A lot of the sours have done super well here because Oklahoma is the land of fruity beers now. All the craft market in Oklahoma, now that people are not going to have their 3-2 water called beer, they're gonna decide whether they like beer or not.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't know that yet. But any beer that has fruit in it is so much more approachable as a product because it's not, it doesn't scare people away with, people are, I don't like hops, it's too hoppy, it's too bitter, it's too this, too that. Fruit beers are the gateway to craft beer. So anything with any fruit is a winner, especially in the summer. So the blood orange IPA is doing real well. When we infuse things in the tap room with either blood orange or lemon and basil, or do something fun like that, those kind of things are going to be more seasonal. And we're trying to get the 6 or 8 beers that we're going to just crank out all the time, and then on top of that, layer all these nice quarterly stuff it's way too much for me to do 24 beers all the time.
Sure.
So if I can just nail 6 or 8 and have 3 or 4 quarterlies, I'd be much less stressed out.
Dirty Blonde will be year round.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh,
sure.
Cru, all the time. Okay. Yeah, we do have our all year round beer. So we're less than 2 years old. We're still learning. We're still having fun. We're still seeing how we can best serve customers here and customers and all of our, when we make beer, we're not making money if the bars and restaurants aren't making money. Right. A keg sits at their place for 2 weeks, they're not going to order it again. So it's a business.
Yeah.
So we need to make them happy, and we want to make sure that we have our best foot forward, regardless of the time of year. And we want to be we're small. We can be that flexible.
Yeah.
So we want to serve our customers best we can.
So, where can our listeners find you online? Keep in contact with.
Online, we've got a ridiculous online presence. For social media, the mega mogul is Donna. So.
Our Instagram is Twisted Spike Brewing, and then our Facebook is
it's just Twisted Spike. At Twisted Spike.
At Twisted Spike. One thing we do that has been super fun, in fact today being Tuesday, is we do these videos that get twisted, is Twisted Tuesdays, which allows people to find out a little bit more about craft brewing, the craft brewing industry. And so we do live Facebook videos, and then we just started putting them on IGTV, on Instagram. So we do different topics about, today we kind of jumped into the architect little information that they were doing. But we do kind of a giveaway each week, whether it be our merchandise, or today we did a gift card. We'll do 6-pack, but it just allows people to find out more about what the craft brewing industry is. We kind of highlighted the Craft Beer Summit, a couple weeks ago, or we talked about the one week we interviewed brewers and we talked about different beer sugars. Explain to us, how do beers differentiate between the light and the medium and dark beer sugars? We interviewed one of our bartenders who's a rapper one time. We talked, we'll just bring up different things that bring people into craft beer and let them learn about it. So it's kind of fun. So people get to comment, they get to like, they get to share our Facebook, our Instagram, and they get to join in on all the craft beer fun.
Because so much Oklahoma is so much craft beer is education.
Yeah.
We have been the craft beer desert for the last 20 years. Now the laws change, and now Oklahoma consumption of craft beer is still around either less than 4%. And those are numbers from the Brewers Association. And everywhere else in the country is in the 16, 17, 18% of all the beer. So the consumer is not nearly as educated because it just hasn't been around as much.
Yeah.
So a lot of our stuff, a lot of your blog, I mean, this is
Yeah.
beer education.
Yep.
This is introductory stuff to get people interested to this awesome product.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for having us.
This is great.
It was a good
It
time.
was awesome.
Yeah.
We always sign off our Twisted Tuesdays with cheers for beers and see you at the spike.
There we go. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
That guy said, "Don't let the door hit in the vagina on the way out." That was hilarious.
That's going to do it for this special Twisted edition of Pub Talk. If you like what you heard here, head over to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, at Pub Talk Podcast. Throw us a like, follow us, etc. Make sure to check out our website, pubtalkpodcast.com. And most importantly, don't forget to check out Twisted Spike at twistedspike.com. Or if you're in the Oklahoma City area, swing by, check out their fantastic tap room. It's at 1 Northwest 10th Street in Oklahoma City. Check them out on social media, Twisted Spike Brewing. Buy their beer anytime you see it in liquor stores. Until next time, never forget that there's nothing in life too big or hard. You can't handle it over a few beers with your good friends. Until next time, just chill till the next episode.